Hello, is that Real Reds Talk doing a live Europa League draw? It absolutely is. We've got me and Shreyas on the show. Welcome to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. As I said, Shreyas is alongside me. First and foremost, how you doing after that result last night, Shreyas?
Yeah, happy, I would say. I think at least for the most part, it looked like we were controlling the game really well. Last night never really looked like apart from the first 20 minutes, I would say Betis didn't really look that likely to score. It looked like we were completely controlling how that game went. Probably could have done better in a few instances, but I think overall, considering the team we laid out as well and the kind of injuries we're suffering with at the moment, I think it was a decent performance from us.
Absolutely. I'm just checking if the stream is live because it's not saying that
Yeah,
it's live.
it's live. It's live. It's live.
Are we definitely live?
Yeah. And 11 people in the chat. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure to smash that subscribe button. We are really close to 1,350 subscribers, so hopefully we can reach that target by the time this stream ends.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was just taking a long time to load on my phone. Absolutely, I second what Shreya said there. If you got a chance to listen to me on 5 Live this morning, thank you very much. I've had a few messages with a lot of support, so you know who you are. Big up yourselves. Thank you for that. And it was nice. Yeah, nice discussion on a big radio show about the tie last night. I thought it was very back and forth, wasn't it? Very end-to-end kind of FIFA game. Yeah. Very open. Yeah. As well. And then the second half, Ten Hag kind of cooled it down a little bit, and then we gained a bit of control, and ultimately we went through, which is nice. Now, obviously, the potential opponents in the draw we can face, Shreyas, I'm going to go through them like one by one and kind of categorize what each one would mean and how we feel about that tie. So the actual, I'll read out the clubs that we could potentially face or potentially draw, should I say. So we've got Feyenoord, Juventus, Sporting Lisbon, Bayer Leverkusen, AS Roma, and Sevilla and Union Saint Gilles, whoever the fuck they are. I think they're a Belgian team or something. So we'll start with Feyenoord, a Dutch opponent Ten Hag will know all about. Yeah. Currently top of the Eredivisie, ahead of Ten Hag's old team by 3 points. Only lost once in the league this year. A team Terrell Malacia will know very well. Do you think that could be an interesting tie?
Yeah, and yesterday they won like 7-1 or something. So they are, they're in hot form right now. And like you said, they're one of the most informed teams in that Dutch league. Malacia and Ten Hag both have a history with that team, so it could be a very exciting draw. And I think it would be good to have that sort of competition right now. I think I really want to change from Spanish teams. I think we've faced 3 Spanish teams already in this competition, so getting a different opponent would mean a different style. And probably when we come up against Feyenoord, we could see more from Erik Ten Hag. More of his tactics that he used to deploy in the Eredivisie. Probably we could see much more a much more raw version of Ten Hag against team like Feyenoord. So it definitely could be an exciting draw. It definitely could be something which as fans we haven't really looked into, because up until now the teams that we've actually come up against, if I have to talk big teams, it has been just Barcelona, Sociedad, or now that we came up against Betis. So they've all been Spanish sides, and we played a certain type of football to counter these teams from La Liga. So considering a different opponent from a completely different league, probably we could be seeing something different in a game against a team like Feyenoord.
Absolutely. Get your comments in who you want to see us draw in the Europa League final. If you have a preference, teams you like, fuck it, let's go play them. We've got some interesting stories behind the teams that we could potentially face as well. A few comments. Dan's in the chat saying, let's sink another stronger team. Is the draw started? So the draw starts at 12 o'clock. 14 minutes away. They're currently playing the highlights of the Betis game last night, so I suppose that's nice just to reflect on as we're going through this draw. Sir Akello, welcome to the channel. I don't know if you're new or not, but if you are new, please do subscribe to the channel. He's saying, waiting anxiously to know whoever Manchester United will face in the last 8. And likewise, we'll, as soon as it gets announced, we'll deliver that news live here on Real Reds Talk. Now, the next team we could play are Juventus Shreyas, not having a great season. 7th in Serie A, currently 30 points behind Napoli in the league. The board of directors have left. They're in financial ruins, but they do have 2 former controversial United players in the ranks. Di Maria, who's actually been decent for them in the Europa League, in fairness. And Paul Pogba has played about 30 minutes since signing on the free. So amongst, 20 minutes, there you go. Amongst all the kind of negative that's floating around there, one thing I think you'll have your keen eye on is Vlahovic.
Yeah, definitely. I think
Juventus, last night, didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we come up against Juventus, probably I think a lot of people would be able to get a closer look as to what kind of player Vlahovic really is, because up until now people have I think when you look at that Juventus side, you can't really assess the actual quality of these players, because especially in the attack, because these players have got absolutely no service, and if we have to assess them just on the basis of their talent, I think Chiesa is one of the greatest talents to have on a wing.
Yeah.
And except that Vlahovic is a very talented striker. I think when he came in, he was the guy, who was being uh, he was being pushed a lot as to the guy who would replace Ronaldo in that Juventus team. And I think for Fiorentina, he scored like 30 goals in one season. So, and when he moved to Juventus, even without service, I think he's got 16 or 17 goals this season. So, for a
Hmm.
striker with no service, that's actually a really, really great stat to have, because their midfield is just dead. They've only got Locatelli in that midfield, and even he hasn't really started that, consistently for them. So, I think against Juventus, I think the best part about it would definitely be that once again we be coming up against the likes of Paul Pogba and Di Maria. Whether Pogba will be there is a big question to say, but Di Maria would be there, and I think beating a team like Juventus would give the United a much needed confidence boost, because even though they're not playing well, Juventus are a big side, and when you look at Juventus, you would say that this is a side that deserves to be in the Champions League, not in the Europa League. So if we go on to beat them, I think this it would give the team a big confidence boost that probably we can go on and just win the title altogether.
Yeah. We've got 14 people, 16 people in the chat. Put in the teams you would like to play in the quarterfinal. Come on, let's interact. I'm curious to know who your preferred choice is. Now, a lot of these teams, Shreyas, they've got kind of backstories behind them and would be interesting ones. But other ones like Bayer Leverkusen, not really much of a backstory there. I think the last time we played against them was 10 years ago in 2013, and we beat them 5-0 in the Champions League under Fergie, I think it was. It's a team we've never lost to in European competitions. They're currently mid-table in the Bundesliga, but they do have some young, exciting talents, and then they've got quite a good academy there as well. So it shouldn't be too tough if we draw them, should it?
No, I don't think it would be too tough. Once again, Leverkusen was a side that actually wanted to loan Pellistri before the start of the season as well. So, and except that, I think Leverkusen is also one of those teams, who are known to develop some big, big talents in European football. I think they've got a great academy, and then they've got decent talent coming through their ranks. But yeah, I think at the moment in the Bundesliga, they're really struggling. And I think if we do come up against them, I think it would be a decent draw to have. I think it would be somewhere even. I don't expect us to draw Leverkusen, because I think once again we'll pick up a tougher team. I think Leverkusen is not the side that United would get. I still believe that we might get someone like a Roma is what I feel, or Juventus. But if we draw Leverkusen, I think it's a very good draw to have, and probably we can go in with a much more offensive minded side against a team like Leverkusen, because their defense is basically invisible.
Yeah, I agree. They have been very back and forth. They had a really good game, didn't they? I think it's then, but yeah, that was like a proper barn burner. That so. I think United could definitely take advantage of their defensive frailties. Just like you guys know, currently in the chat, we have started memberships now, so it's like a price of a meal deal per month for exclusive content, a badge next to your name, become a real Reds ultra, if you will, and a chance maybe to feature on the show, which we are going to put in as well. So if you want to become a member, just click the membership button, get your comments in, and make sure you subscribe as well. Absolutely. Now you just mentioned one of the other teams, Shreyas, AS Roma, the return of Jose Mourinho. You know this would be absolute box office. They've got a fantastic defensive record, some really talented players, Paulo Dybala, Tammy Abraham, Pellegrini, plus a few former United players as well in Nemanja Matic and Chris Smalling. How would you feel about that? Because that personally would be the one I want. I want Mourinho to come back. You know, that bit of bite in press conferences.
I think the moment Mourinho, whatever team he manages, when he comes back to Old Trafford, you expect it to be a high velocity game. And like you mentioned, I think defensively Roma are very good. They're actually, and you would expect that from any Jose Mourinho side, that defensively they're going to be very well rounded. They're
Oh,
going
yeah.
to be really compact. They're not going to be a team who are going to leak a lot of goals. And in the offense as well, I think Tammy Abraham has been a very, very, incredible signing for them. He's been getting constant goals for them. I think Paulo Dybala for them for a free signing. I think he's absolutely killing it at Roma this season. Uh, I think he's that
Top goal
catalyst.
scorer, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think Paulo Dybala is actually able to reach. I think he needed to be revived, and Mourinho, I think, when it comes to reviving the careers of hardworking players who actually want to put the work in and want to get to a certain level, Mourinho is the best manager for them, and Dybala is just showing uh, what he can actually do on a consistent basis. So I think once again it's going to be a really, really interesting draw, because it would mean Paulo Dybala coming up against Lisandro Martinez. So it would be a very interesting battle to actually see. And yeah, except that I think Roma. The only thing about when you come up against Roma is that don't lose with by even a 1 goal margin in the first leg, because you would expect them to just stagnate their entire block. They would just practically hold back their forward, not even attack, and just stick with the defense, trying to hold on to that lead, like every single time Jose Mourinho likes to do in European competitions. I think we met them in the Europa League a couple of seasons ago as well, when we made it to the final, and we managed to beat them like 6-2 or something. So
Yeah.
I think
Cavani scored a couple of them.
Cavani scored, Bruno scored, Pogba scored as well, I think. So uh, I think in recent history, we have had a very, very decent record against them. But once again, there's a new manager at Roma. There is a new manager at United. I think the squads are a lot more different as well, if you have to compare it to the last time we actually met. So yeah, it would be a very interesting draw, and probably we can actually give a really good game and knock Mourinho out of the tournament.
I think Luke Shaw will be very eager to put on a display as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, some very interesting narratives here with a lot of teams. You've got another one as well in Sporting Lisbon. Bruno Fernandes, his former team, who's former captain there. They looked very good against Arsenal in both legs. I was checking I was checking the position in the league before, though, and it shocked me a little bit, because I watched the performance against Arsenal. I thought they looked really good in both legs. But the fourth in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way they played, I thought it was toe to toe with Arsenal. To do that at the minute, Arsenal top of the Premier League. Premier League's arguably the toughest league in the world at the minute. So I was impressed with them. Do you think that could be a potential banana skin coming up against them?
I think it could be. I think you can say that they're one of the underdogs in this competition, because, like you mentioned, that they're fourth in the league. The reason why they're fourth in the league is because Benfica are just too good this season. Like they're like a perfect team this season, and a lot of people have said that Napoli could be dark horses in the Champions League. I would say Benfica can be dark horses in the Champions League as well. They're playing very good, like absolutely.
Well, oh no, they're not true each other. Sorry, Benfica got Inter Milan, AC Milan got Napoli, which we are going to touch on the Champions League draw a little bit later. But yeah.
Yeah, and now with Sporting, I think against Arsenal they played really well. In both legs, they played really well. I think one of the key players in that team is definitely Paulinho and Pedro Goncalves. I think Pedro Goncalves is an exceptional talent. I mean, that goal he scored.
By the way.
Yeah, what a goal he scored against Ramsdale. And
like that wasn't one where the keeper's like, they misplaced, or like it's literally the gap in where it goes in. It's like it's perfect.
Exactly.
Like you couldn't have hit it any better.
It's like a 0.1% chance to score from the area from where he scored, and the accuracy and precision with which he scored. Except that as well, I think they displaced Arsenal. Like Arsenal in that game, they were completely off their rhythm, I would say. And once again, once it went to penalties, I knew that Arsenal were going to go out, because Arsenal cannot handle these kind of pressure situations. Especially when it comes to penalties. And usually, when the pressure gets to them, they just crumble. Yeah.
I love that they went out in penalties. That was my favourite thing. Not to go out in full time or extra time. It's wait until penalties. Martinelli bottled it, like Arsenal do bottle it. And they go out. Which is obviously
they can't even say that they deserve to win that game, because I think overall you can actually say that Sporting Lisbon deserved to get that win yesterday. They played really good and they displaced Arsenal completely off the field.
Aggressive. Yeah. On the front foot, like I was super impressed with him, and it would be a tough game. So that's someone I would put in the category of I want to avoid. To be honest, I think we could beat anyone on our day. Like you saw it with Barcelona, you've seen it with Arsenal, City, etc. But I do think that'd be a tough challenge because they'd be up for it, sporting fans. Just the last couple, I'll read a couple of comments out just before the draw's going live in literally 3 minutes. We'll discuss the next two very quickly. But Dan saying, who would you prefer, a stronger opponent or a weak opponent? That's the question, innit? That's the dynamic. It's a weird one because if you get a strong opponent and you knock them out, that, it leaves the rest to kind of be like, well, the rest of the games you can kind of think it. But then if you get to, let's say you get a Sevilla and Union Saint on the way, then you're like, well, you still got a big team in there, by the time you play in the final. That's the kind of dynamic. Dave Lewis saying 5-0 and 4-2 under Moyes, I believe. I think all the defenders scored in that 5-0. Yeah, I was looking at that before. There were some interesting scorers on that. So by Leverkusen, I think that'd be one of the easier ties. Sevilla is another team. They've absolutely crumbled this year in the league, only 2 points ahead of relegation. They've got a great record in Europa League. I think they've won this trophy the most.
I think they won it like 5 times or four or five times.
So that obviously counts for something. And given the Spanish teams we played already, Shreyas, you probably think it's going to be another Spanish team, innit?
Yeah, mean, and I wouldn't really mind it as well because I think under Ten Hag, we've managed to, reverse that psychology that we had against Spanish teams. We didn't used to play well against them. Like in the past few seasons, if you look, we have never looked comfortable against Spanish sides. But now we are actually, completely dominating games against Spanish sides, actually beating them quite convincingly while playing good football for the entire 90 minutes. And so for me, I think even if we draw Sevilla, I think, like you mentioned, Leverkusen, Sevilla can be an easier draw as well because they're not playing well right now. I think their midfield isn't working. I think the defense isn't working. And on the attack as well, I think they're very, very swamped. So right now they're struggling. But Sevilla and the Europa League is a combination. You never really know as to what can happen. So probably, but considering the situations that are there in the in La Liga right now and the way we are performing against Spanish sides, I wouldn't really mind Sevilla.
No, I think a lot of people I'd probably agree with that as well. It's literally 30 seconds, 1 minute until the draw actually starts. Again, keep getting your comments in. Let us know. There is that membership option if you want to join for exclusive content, a badge next to your name, and a chance maybe to feature on the show as well. So if you want to become a Real Red Ultra, you know where that button's at. Just go ahead and click that for us, and click the subscribe button as well, and smash the like on the video.
You can also donate through the super chat or super sticker button as well. That is online on the channel now as well.
If you want to, we'll read out comments. But so what was we say? I had one more thing before I think. We've got a breaking news show. Your Friday night news show as per every single week. We'll be live for that. And we've got loads of things to discuss with that. So make sure you don't miss that. Come and join us live from 6 o'clock. We'll be live again. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. We've got Dancing Tuba. I would like Sevilla. It's time for revenge. Yeah, I remember that under Jose Mourinho going out. Yeah, another narrative. This is what I mean. These narratives with every team.
I think under Oli as well. We they knocked us out in the semi-finals of the Europa League.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, in the semi-finals.
Might be right.
I think it was the season before we made it to the final against Villarreal.
Yeah, very, very, very quickly. The last team I want to discuss who's in the possible draw, Union Saint-Gilles, a team everybody probably wants to play, the lowest ranked in the quarterfinals. But let's not forget they beat Union Berlin 3-0, who are having a good season in Bundesliga. They're here on merit. And you can't take that one.
They've both been high scoring games. Like the first leg of that fixture was 3-3. The second leg went 3-0. So sometimes these sort of teams, these Belgian teams or teams coming from unknown leagues, they actually end up surprising you a lot. Like they carry that X factor because the players aren't really that well known. So a lot of their players are mystery players, and sometimes you actually don't know how to tackle those sort of players. So I think in that game, it could be a very exciting game because I think that team is a sort of team that it doesn't matter to them actually to how much they concede. They work on the philosophy of if they concede 4, they would like to score 6. So it would be a very attacking game if we play them.
Yeah, 100%. Now the draw is just kicking off now, so we will literally react live to that. We've got new people in the chat constantly every single minute, so please do subscribe to the channel. Welcome. I hope you enjoy football content because if you do, this is the perfect place for you. We've got loads of lads on the channel, loads of variety of content, so lovely to see everybody in. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name. Habtamu Sitator, I think. I don't know. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. Juve is the better fit for United, I guess. Yeah, well, it's going to be exciting either way. I think we discussed all 8 teams there, 7 teams, sorry, who we could possibly play, and I'm excited for all of them. Really, I think any kind of team you look at, you think there's an angle where you could be like, that could be an exciting game. So, yeah, I'm up for it. But we have got Real Sociedad in our group. We played Barcelona in the qualifiers. We played Real Betis then over 2 legs. It's only natural we're probably going to get Sevilla in it. If we do get Sevilla,
I think it's either going to be Sevilla or Roma. That's what my guess is, Sevilla or Roma.
Spanish teams trying to get them revenue up against Manchester United playing. That's what it is. Some weird kind of money conspiracy going on here with the Spanish teams. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see who other teams get as well, because I think even other potential teams clashing there. I think this is probably the first time in Europa League's history where I'm actually excited for the ties. Like some of the clubs that are still in it. You look at it and you think it's almost Champions League quality. Berlin, like we just saw Bundesliga doing well. I know they're out now, but was doing really well. Sporting Lisbon, a quality team. Juventus, a quality team. So there's some tough challenges still in there, man.
Yeah, there definitely is. And the quality in the Europa League and the sort of players that these teams actually have got to offer, I think they're really decent teams and can actually give decent competition to United. And I think that's what I'm actually really excited about, because Ten Hag is not just winning the easy games. He's actually coming up against some really, really good teams and managing to beat them convincingly. Especially teams who we naturally don't really have that great of a record against. And that's the thing. I was just thinking last night, what happens if, Arsenal are not, now out of the Europa League and somehow they bottle the Premier League as well. I mean,
I'd love it.
Out is going to be publicized all over again.
Honestly, if they bottled it, I'd probably go get a bottle of champagne, and people might be like, "Oh, that's sad," but the amount of gloating they've done this season, and then if you go out of every cup competition and then bottle it at the end of the league and they end up with nothing, I'll be like, "Oh my god!" Even though, because obviously if City win it, they get the 3-peat, so you're a little bit sore there because they match or beat our record, I think it is.
Yeah. But I think it makes sense though. If it happens, I wouldn't really be surprised as well that if it actually happens that Arsenal drop down, because it happens against them. It happens a lot, and once again they've still got a fixture against Man City coming up, and no, I think right now Man City looked more recharged. They after that Leipzig game. I think they looked really, really recharged after that Leipzig game.
Yeah, well, a 7-0 battering will do you the world of confidence. Yeah. Well, you would think that, but after Liverpool beat us, they went and lost to Bournemouth, didn't they? So you never know, I suppose. Arsenal top of the league. It's mad. It's mental. I think what are they ahead of City now? Like 5 points, is it? 3 points, something along the lines of that.
Just double check.
And they've got Palace on Sunday, who just sacked Patrick Vieira, aren't they? Just got rid of
I actually wasn't expecting them to actually sack Vieira.
Crazy, isn't it? So hopefully, expect a little bit of a manager bounce on Sunday.
Yeah, they're 5 points ahead of City. So, and they've still got a game against them. So if City win that game, they'll just be 2 points ahead.
It's still on.
Yeah, and Arsenal, I think Arsenal have still got a game against Liverpool left as well. So it could go either way.
Dancing YouTuber saying this season United have had a very good chance. Juve in Europa and City in the FA Cup are the only decent competition that could cause us problems. Winning 3 out of possible 4 trophies would be a sickest season. Yeah, I can only imagine in it. We've already won 1. If you win the Europa and the FA Cup and get top 4, unreal.
Considering, and for me, it would be a perfect season. Like if you even if you take out what happened last season, if you take out the fact that we got a new manager coming in this season and the kind of team and squad depth we're working with, if you just read it as a summary that we were managed to secure top 4 with quite a big point margin and managed to get 2 trophies, in my book it would actually be a perfect season.
Yeah, I never subscribed to it. I don't think we ever as a channel subscribed to the theory that we was in this kind of title race way. It was never. We looked at the squad that we had with very thin in areas. We're still playing in 4 competitions. The only team in England or Europe, I think it might be, to play in 4 competitions. So it was always going to be tough, but you can't argue with a couple of trophies and top 4 in Ten Hag's first.
I think if we had a striker, we would be in fighting distance of Arsenal.
For sure.
I think we definitely would have been in fighting distance because
Vegas is tough at the minute.
I think
it's tough with him.
I actually saw a stat yesterday, and it said the problem with Weghorst is not the fact that he isn't good. The problem with Weghorst is that he isn't able to complete the chances or finish off the chances that aren't really that tough. Like, people don't really expect him to score bangers. They're like literal tap-ins, and he isn't able to convert those tap-ins. He's not able to win headers. Considering he's like 6'5" or 6'6", you would expect a player of that height to command the box when it comes to aerial duels, and he's not that great in that area. And I think that's the reason why we missed Anthony Martial a lot this season. I think we genuinely would have been like 2 to 3 points off Arsenal if we had Anthony Martial in this team.
That's what I mean. I think Ten Hag touched on that in the press conference. He was talking about certain injuries and Arsenal being luckier. So yeah, you spot on with that. Now the draw is very close to being done. So hold on to your horses. So let's see if anyone can get it in the chat. Put in who you think, not who you want, who you think we're going to draw in the Europa League, and we'll see who's right. We'll see who's right. You think Roma?
Yeah.
Who am I going to go for? Every time I look at the teams, something's sticking out to me about Feyenoord.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So I'm going to go with Feyenoord, I reckon. That's who we're going to draw. And I reckon we'll play them away first as well.
Yeah.
If I was to
guess. I would actually want to play, the away leg first, because going away, we haven't really had that that much of a decent record this season. Yeah. Like when the opponent team comes, they come to Old Trafford. That's when we've looked much, much, much better against the big teams as well.
Yeah, and obviously we find out today as well who we can potentially play in the semi-finals as well. I think so. That'd be interesting to see the structure of the tournament, and we'll discuss. The Champions League draw as well. There's some very interesting ties there. So make sure you stick with us, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, please. Bit weird because I think it's the first, Europa League or Champions League, whatever you want to call it, European draw that we've done live in it. I don't think we've done one before.
First live. European draw,
I like it. I
think this is the first time in 13 or 12, I think it is 13 or 12 years that 3 teams from Serie A have made it into the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
Yeah. Having a bit of a resurgence, aren't they?
Yeah, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Napoli. I think Napoli are one of the best teams in Europe right now.
Oh yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah,
they're absolutely killing it.
Like I think Napoli versus Real Madrid in the final would be like a show stealer of a final. Like you've got a complete underdog, and then they're coming up against pretty much the champions of the people who dictate the Champions League in a way.
Yeah. Just got to draw the balls out very shortly. I don't like this guy who does it. He's just like, seems very monotone and very like, like he can't be happy in there. I mean, can you imagine if I started the show, I was like, "Hiyo, welcome to Real Reds Talk. How you all doing?" Like, people like, "What the fuck's this guy on? Is he like high or something?"
Today, my name is Nick.
Yeah, hello. Today, my name is Nick. Oh God. If you know, you know.
If you know,
Dave's saying Juve's been actually quite good since their points reduction as well, funnily enough. Yeah, but still 30 points behind Napoli. Like, that's a big gap, that. That's what we was under Ollie, I think.
I still got fingers crossed that they go down. Like, genuinely, I have my fingers crossed that they go down next season.
Here we go. So, the first team that's out is, and they're at home, it is... Manchester United.
Yes!
Manchester United.
I'll be surprised.
Have you guessed that?
Yeah.
Or have you?
Yeah.
Holy shit. So United at home first.
Yeah.
Like, this is the draw done now, pretty much, after this.
Yeah. And the second team is Roma.
And we play in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Drum roll. Who is it? Sevilla, Spanish team. It's a Spanish team. I told you, fucking thick. Honestly. Are you joking? Real Sociedad in the fucking group stage. You get Barcelona in the qualifiers, Real Betis in the quarters, in the round of 16.
Round of 16, and now we've got Sevilla in the quarters.
Oh my! I'm telling you, these Spanish teams are trying to sort their TV revenue out, and like we need a big draw. We need United.
We need United. Yeah. We need other teams from the Prem.
I mean, it's a straight reaction to this, Trey. As like we said, Sevilla, they've crumbled this year in the league. Only 2 points of relegation. They do have a great record in Europa League. I think they've won this trophy the most, like we were saying. But they're having a fucking dreadful season. Dreadful season. Oh, fuck off. Fucking. All right. So next up is Sporting Lisbon. My headphones are falling out, so I can't hear no sound. Oh, Juventus versus Sporting Lisbon. Very interesting. That's a good tie. Yeah. That's a very good tie. Yeah. I'm getting more excited for the fucking Europa League than I am United. Right, so we've got Manchester United. I need to write it down before I forget. Manchester United versus Sevilla. I'll absolutely take that. We're basically in the semi-final, lads.
Yeah.
We've got Juventus versus Sporting Lisbon. We then have, I think who's just been drawn out then? I've just seen the team. 1 second. Everything's going off. I can't hear anything, man. There we go. Who's that? Union Saint-Gilles. And they are against
Roma.
Leverkusen.
Oh, okay.
Roma is just going to draw left, aren't they? Union Saint-Gilles. Very interesting. So what teams we got left now? Roma are still in there, aren't they? Feyenoord. First out. Feyenoord versus... Let's see.
Roma!
Everyone's saying in the comment section, I told you. Dancing YouTuber. Oh, yeah, he said he wanted revenge. It's revenge time. Love that. Sam saying Spanish bias, bollocks every time. Dave saying this is football heritage with an E.
Yeah.
AS Roma
versus
Feyenoord. Another good tie. You got your AS Roma?
Yeah.
And I think that's it, innit?
Yeah.
That's the
8 teams.
Quarterfinals. So we have Manchester United versus Sevilla. Obviously, is a United channel, so that's why are we always drawn out first as well. I'm sure against Barcelona we've drawn out first.
Yeah.
No, Barcelona was drawn out first, weren't they?
I mean,
they played
we end up getting out first in the every single time. I still remember last time when the Champions League draw was being done.
Yeah,
like, you could see how rigged it was. You could actually see how rigged that was.
Yeah. So we've got United versus Sevilla, Juventus versus Sporting Lisbon, Leverkusen versus Union Saint-Gilles, and then Feyenoord versus AS Roma. And that's interesting, Shreyas, because aside from the United and Sevilla game, I think the other ones are pretty evenly matched, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Like, Leverkusen against Saint-Gilles is probably like the lowest two. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. But I still think we might see an upset and Leverkusen would go out in that game. I actually see that. But except that I think most of the draws, I think Juventus versus Sporting will be a very exciting game. I think that would be a game which could go end to end.
Yeah, Dave just said then Roma final was the Europa Conference final. So, yeah. So United play Juventus or Sporting in the semi-final. That's a tough one. Juventus, I'm hoping for Juventus in that.
Yeah.
What a semi-final
I don't want United to come up against underdog.
And they would be at home as well.
Yeah.
Juventus would be at home first.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. That is our path to European glory, I think. Let me just change that around so I can finger.
The pathway to the second trophy this season.
So winners of quarterfinal 3. Yeah, so Feyenoord Roma at home first against Leverkusen or Union Saint-Gilles. Could be a Jose Mourinho and United final. Roma and United.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And we all know that Jose knows how to play in European competitions. Because the factor of consistency doesn't really lie in European competition. It's just about getting the job done in one game. That's where Jose Mourinho shines the most.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything down so I can... So who's playing who here? Let's have a look. Winners of semi-final 2. So winners of semi-final 1 versus winners of semi-final 2. That's getting confusing now. Wait, semi-final 2 was Leverkusen. I'm getting confused with all this bollocks now. Dan saying, let's take that patch of United struggle against Spanish teams from our name ones by sending another Spanish team home. Adam saying fourth Spanish team this cup run. Yeah, mad. So, quarterfinal 1, Manchester United versus Sevilla. Quarterfinal 2, Juventus versus Sporting. Quarterfinal 3, Bayern versus Union Saint-Gilles. And then Feyenoord versus Roma. I'm curious to know the dates of them, though, because I want to know like what games are going to be around it.
Yeah.
So the winners of semi-final 1 versus winners of semi-final. Well, obviously, that's how it's going to go. How else would it go? In Budapest, final.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts, guys.
Dave in the chat is saying, and then the 5th in the Super Cup next year when Madrid win the UCL again.
Yeah. Interesting. Juventus in the semi-final is very tasty, I'm not going to lie. But I think given the performances that I've seen from both Sporting and Juventus, I think Sporting beat them.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
Yeah. I think right now Sporting are playing really well. Really, really well.
So, yeah, why have they not announced the dates? That's what annoys me. Let me see if I can find the dates out on Twitter. Because it all depends on what... Well, it doesn't, because we've had a congested season for fucking ages. But it depends when we're going to play them, because you don't want them near really important games.
Yeah.
Nothing on the date. If anyone in the chat can find out the dates of the games, that'd be very interesting. I don't know if they've announced it yet or not.
Adam in the chat is saying May 31st, Budapest.
May 31st?
Yeah.
No, that'd be the final, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's out on SofaScore. I'll have a look to see. Matches. Real Betis. No, what did play? Oh, right, yeah. So, 13th of the 4th. So, 13th of April, and then the 20th of April is the away leg at Sevilla. So, around them games, we play. So, then in our next games, which we're going to talk about later on tonight, we've got Fulham, Newcastle, Brentford, Everton. That's our next 4 or 5 games. Then after the Everton game, we play Sevilla, which isn't too bad to go from. But that's like 5 days after Everton, so that's all right. And then, but 2 days after Sevilla, it's Nottingham Forest. So that's obviously got to be rescheduled, or one of them's got to be rescheduled because you can't play a game 2 days after. That's absolutely ridiculous. And then 5 days after the Nottingham Forest game, that's when we play the away leg on the 20th, which is the 2 days before Chelsea game. So that obviously can't, it's going to have to be sorted. I know it's very congested, but they're going to have to push some games back or do some shit because that's ridiculous, outrageous. You can't expect us to play a Premier League game and then a quarter-final fucking 2 games later. Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. Adam saying, I prefer Sporting over 2 legs than 1. Yeah, you might be right. I don't know, because I thought Sporting were great in both legs against Arsenal as well, home and away. Dan saying anyone of Inter, Napoli, AC Milan, Benfica will be in the final of the... interesting. That is very interesting. I think that might be Napoli. You might be right. Might be a Napoli. You've got Bayern Munich versus City as well, which is fucking super interesting tie. Sevilla in their game last night had 33% possession against a Turkish team. Europa League final will be more interested than the Champions League final. I agree. And Lewis is saying another Spanish team, fucking boring. Sevilla knock us out. Heard it here first. Love the optimism, Lewis, as always. Thank you for commenting. Big up to yourself. And big up to everyone who's tuned in. We play. Who did we play? We play Sevilla. I don't know how I forgot that because we just put the draw out. Jesus. We play Sevilla in the quarter-final. Juventus play Sporting Lisbon. Final play Roma and Leverkusen versus St. Gilles. Will Ten Hag win his second trophy this season? That is the question we will leave you with to ponder. We'll smash Sevilla, won't we, Shreya? Just see us out with a bit of positivity.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the easier draws, once again, I would say, if I think given a choice, probably Sevilla would be one of the teams if you wanted to go in for a easier draw. And you never know, like you said, you never know what kind of fixtures we have surrounding that Sevilla game. So probably, you know, it could be a good fixture where we can actually see some rotation, probably see some new faces being introduced into the squad as well. So I think overall, considering this, you know, phase of the season we are in right now, we're in the latter stages of the season. I think Sevilla are a decent team to have because we can't really risk having any more injuries in our first team. We've already got enough players out.
I'm just reading the comments. There's a bit of back and forth going on in the comments section. Sevilla, much like Shreyas' towel on his balcony there, we will hang them out to dry.
Yes!
I'm sure we'll absolutely bathroom. So, thank you everyone for getting the comments in. Make sure, you know, if you want to be a member of the channel for exclusive content, a badge next to your name and maybe a chance to feature on the show as a live guest, you can become a member for the price. So it's like a meal deal per month. I think it's like £4 or £5 or something. So if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. Make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you live later on for the breaking news show. We're going to be live at 6 o'clock. Do not miss that. We've got loads to talk about with the ownership situation, upcoming fixtures, etc. Make sure you come and tune in, and we'll see you later on. Take care, guys.